Today on CityCast Madison. It's Tuesday, so that means it's time for another roundup of must-see Madison. And we're gonna save you some money. This week, we've been balling out on a budget. The team's pulled together a list of a few of our favorite free or cheap activities to get into across town. Today for the fun, I'm joined by CityCast Madison's Haley Sperling and Ava Wynowski. It's Tuesday, July 23rd. I'm Bianca Martin, and here's what Madison's talking about. All right, we are back for a must-see Madison, and today the topic is the rent is too damn high. And we need to save some money, and we think maybe you do too. So we are doing Madison on a budget. I'm here with our executive producer, Haley Sperling. Hey, girl, hey.
Hey, girl, hey. The rent is too damn high, and we're balling on a budget. Ain't it the truth?
Ain't it the truth? Balling in more than one sense. And Ava Wynowski, our interim newsletter editor. What's up?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. I'm really excited for this conversation and to hear what you guys brought. So we don't know what each other has for our budget recommendations. But why don't we go ahead and kick it off with our leader, Haley? I feel like you are a maven at deals. Let us know what's one of the budget activities on your list for Madison.
I love a good deal. I think that's because I grew up with my mom being not like a crazy couponer, but like a pretty mega couponer. But anyways, my recommendation today, no coupons necessary because it's absolutely free. You guys know I'm an East Side girly, but I'm throwing a curveball your way, and we are going all the way to the West Side. Technically it's Middleton, but like close enough. We're all part of the same loving community.
Fair game.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to take y'all on a walk through Pheasant Branch Conservancy. It is beautiful out there. If you haven't been there before, let me break it down. It is a 549 acre protected natural area in Middleton. So it's massive, right? And it's home to an open water marsh. There's springs, there's prairies and rolling meadows, forests and wooden hills. You know, just think about like a magical little ethereal fairy forest happening right in the West Side. And here's the big Madison tie. The wetlands and marshes that I mentioned that are in the area provide fresh water for Lake Mendota. So it's pretty neat. They've got trails out there, hiking and biking trails. There's protected prairie land, and there's also effigy mounds out there. So like lots of beautiful nature to behold, lots of history to behold. It's home to a variety of animals. You got the classic like deer and frogs and turkeys, like a bunch of turkeys, you know, Madison, the West Side specifically, they're out there. But it's also a really, really solid destination for birders. You can see cranes, herons, hawks, songbirds, and for better or worse, like part of the trails like in the conservancy like had to close because a bald eagle had built a nest out there, which is actually pretty freaking cool, you know? So like it's
and they're
fun
kind
stuff.
of like dun 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 like monster birds, and they're
or
there was just to protect them. But
I think it's a little of both, right? Because like you don't want to get between a mama and her baby in any sort of situation, but also like bald eagles, they can get a little wild and feisty. But also I think it's mostly for our protection, but it's for their protection, right? So it's a super cool place. Parking readily available. The space is open from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily. It's managed by the city of Middleton and Dane County, and most of the trails are ADA accessible, which is super cool. I was looking online to see if dogs are allowed, and it's the recommendation is still kind of out there, but it's like leashed dogs are okay in most situations. So maybe our producer Phil can get Marty out there.
I went there once on accident. I was going for like a longer run and I like stumbled upon this park, and I remember vividly I was running with one of my friends, and all of a sudden we just saw like 10 dogs, like a bunch of owners walking their dogs on leashes. I thought I went to dog heaven. I was
Oh my
walking.
God.
There were so many. We were petting them left and right. I remember having like a out of body experience by how happy I was to see all these dogs. And then we came upon this hill that is no joke in that park as well. I was like running up it and thought I was
Like
gonna
Kate
fall
Bush.
over with how steep. Yeah,
Running up that hill, Ava.
I was trying to listen to that song in my head. It didn't help. It was a tough battle. But I definitely want to echo how cool that place is. It was, although I was kind of dying, I got to see some cool dogs. Very beautiful for sure.
Worth it.
Oh my
Absolutely worth it.
gosh.
Worth
Oh my
it.
gosh. So to stick on this recommendation and to talk about like out of body experiences, I have another like path oriented recommendation, which is the Lakeshore Path. It could be looked over, and Ava, you're talking about running. I have had multiple out of body experiences. I'm not talking on drugs, just drugs of nature, on walking on
best
the Lakeshore
kind.
Path, the best kind of free walking or strolling, what have you. But that's what, like, before I even moved to Madison, when I got here, I was just like, I want to explore the city, and walking down State Street is really awesome. But then you're like at campus, and Madison's campus is gorgeous. And the Lakeshore Path is just one of those things that, like, if there's a storm happening, maybe I'm recommending go out into the storm. But there's just like so many vantage like vistas like in different areas to look out at the lake and contemplate your life. I don't know if you're a poet, maybe you want to be a poet, like just go, like you will be inspired. And you're talking about effigy mounds. The Lakeshore Path like is definitely one of those spaces. Like people started building that path like at least 12,000 years ago. Like this
Absolutely.
is around Lake Mendota. There is no doubt that shore has been a walking site for thousands of years. And I just like basically like walking on campus too. I don't know. I know I went to UW Madison, so that's one of those things. But I have a little story. Wasn't one of the out of body experiences, but it was really neat. When I was walking on Lakeshore Path, just trying to get my grounding, I ran into a Dane County judge. I didn't know she was a Dane County judge, but I was just like, in awe, and she just stopped to talk to me because she was getting some out of body vibes off of me. Like I must have just looked really happy, but she started talking to me about birding.
Oh my God. I love it.
And
Everyone's a
places-
birder.
Everyone's a birder. And like later in the conversation, I was like, I don't know if I mentioned Tammy Baldwin or what, but I was like, oh, so you're just a judge? And she's like, yeah, I've been running here for years. And I think people in the know really value Lakeshore Path because it's a really beautiful natural area. So that was one of my free things to do, is to, walk around on campus, and especially the Lakeshore Path.
I cannot recommend Lakeshore Path enough / like the jaunt out to Picnic Point. It's probably one of my favorite places in Madison. Like me and my friend Riley, at least once or twice a year, we kind of do this annual thing where we will take a long walk down the Lakeshore Path, and then we end up at Picnic Point, and it's beautiful, and we're always like, we got to get out here more often. And then we're like, we're hungry.
Every time.
Let's go to Olive Garden, and then we have our Lakeshore Path Olive Garden days.
Holy
and for some
smokes.
reason, that's how it always goes down.
You just
I love
amplified the beauty of that times a million.
it. Inside of you, there are two wolves. One wants to go to the Lakeshore Path, and the other wants to go to Olive Garden, and you have to feed them both.
I also want to give a little shout out to all the Lakeshore dorm folks who were in the Lakeshore dorms. I was in Slichter myself.
Yeah.
I was talking to my friends, and it's weird how that's like one of the few places that's like affordable for students to like get the opportunity to live on the lake. You kind of don't really get that as much later on in your undergrad. So definitely loved my time over there, and I still also go over there a ton. Absolutely love it.
Can I shout out Liz Waters?
Please.
Because I had that in my notes, and I'm like, well, it's not technically a Lakeshore Path, but it's like a little bit. It's like up. It's up.
Yeah.
up. But Liz Waters, I did not live in Liz Waters. I lived in Chadbourne, but they're one of the two of the three dormitories that were for women only that changed like in the early 2000s. But Liz Waters, if you don't take the Lakeshore path, but if you like go up Bascom Hill and then you end up on, what is that? Observatory Drive. Yeah. But if you choose to go up a little bit, on Observatory Drive, the hills, you can go sit on the hills and look out over the lake. And one of the best, I feel like, views in Madison is there.
Well, yeah, then kind of staying in the same vein as outdoor activities, one of my free activities, but I'm going to say you can add a couple of dollars to kind of make it a little extra special, but you can make it completely free if you want, is biking the Lake Loop, which is definitely a little bit of a longer bike ride for some folks. But a lot of folks, if you don't already have a bike, you can rent a B-cycle, which are awesome because they kind of give you that extra boost as you're biking around, going through town. I personally love to play the game of looking at all the houses and like critiquing what I like, what I don't like. That's probably one of my favorite like free activities to do in Madison. I love how like,
tacky.
I don't know if I'd buy that one with all my money, but
with my $1 million.
But I like to play that game with my friends on like runs or bike rides, and I think that Madison has such a diverse like housing market. Like there are so many different types of houses, different styles, and they're all right next to each other, which I really like. So I think that's super cool, super fun to play. Play that game kind of as you're doing some physical activity going around the lake. And then if you're wanting to get a little sweet treat in the middle of your bike ride, which personally I always do, I head over to Monona Bait and Ice Cream, which has Babcock.
I just went there this week.
It's so good.
It's so good.
It's so good. I know. I went there for the first time this summer with my friend. We did a whole summer day, but we went paddleboarding, then biked the Lake Loop and got ice cream. And it was just like a great thing to do on a hot summer day in Madison. They have Babcock Hall ice cream, which personally is one of my favorites in Madison. So you can't go wrong there.
I will say, like, I'm glad you brought up the Lake Loop, Ava, because, like, I mean, you're a certified athlete, right? Like, you were on UW Track Club. You're a runner. She's a runner. She's a track star. I'm not. I'm not at all, but I have done several Lake Loops. And so I think that's just to say, like, it's a very accessible ride. You know, it's not super intense. It's relatively flat for the most part. Like, there's a couple big hills where, like, again, like I said, I'm not a biker. I'm not good at like standing up on the bike. That's one of the things that I would like to work on in my life. So I hop off and I walk up the hills. But like, you know, it's a solid ride for athletes of all abilities.
Totally. Yeah. And then kind of going back to the ice cream vein super fast. But there's also, if maybe the Monona Bait and Ice Cream, Babcock ice cream is not your jam, there's also a Michael's Frozen Custard, which I have not personally been to, so I'm going to be super honest. But I was looking it up, and it looks like it has such, like, that cool, old-timey, like, diner aesthetic to it, which I thought seemed super cool. And I do definitely like probably frozen custard more than ice cream as a Wisconsinite myself. I feel like that's just in my blood. I feel like it's hard not to. So definitely want to check that out on my next bike ride there for sure. I don't know if either of you have been able to. Oh,
it's so cute. Michael's is so cute. Yeah.
It's so cute, and it definitely has kind of like a cult following. You know, it's definitely one of those Madison staples of like, if you know, you know, but now you all know, and everyone should check it out.
Hi, I'm David Plotz, the CEO of CityCast. The best way to learn a language is immersion, living where the language is spoken and using it every day. That's how I learned French as a kid. But if that's not in the cards for you this year, you can still learn a language the second best way, and that's with Babbel. I live in a city with a huge immigrant population. You probably do too. And in my hometown, a lot of my new neighbors speak Spanish as a first language, and we have lots of great Mexican and Central American and South American restaurants and stores. I wanted to be able to communicate just a little bit better with some of my neighbors. So I started with Babbel, the science-backed language learning app that actually works. And after just a few extremely enjoyable weeks learning Spanish with Babbel, I've already gotten comfortable ordering at a restaurant and eavesdropping on my girlfriend's conversations with her mom. Look, learning a language isn't always easy, but with Babbel it is fun and it feels useful, basically immediately. That's why Babbel has over 16 million subscriptions sold. Plus, all of Babbel's 14 award-winning language courses are backed by their 20-day money-back guarantee. Here's a special limited time deal for CityCast listeners. Right now, get up to 60% off your Babbel subscription, but only for our listeners at babbel.com/citycast. Get up to 60% off at babbel.com/citycast. Spelled BABBEL.com/citycast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
So you're listening to CityCast Madison. You clearly care about what's happening in our city and have fantastic taste in podcasts. I've got a recommendation for another local news podcast you gotta check out. It's called 365 Amplified. Every week, the award-winning reporting team behind Madison 365 digs into their most important stories from the week, and they focus on the greater Madison communities of color, with stories and perspectives you likely won't hear from many other mainstream outlets. They have on community leaders, lawmakers, artists, and many more for candid conversations. They drop new episodes every Friday at madison365.org/amplified. And you can also search 365 Amplified wherever you're listening to this show right now. Who likes spam? Nobody. But did you know you're likely getting more of it because your personal data is being sold? Every day, data brokers collect and sell your personal info to third parties such as your social security number, address, phone numbers, and health and financial records. And then these insights are used by scammers, total strangers, insurance companies, banks, and more to target you. It's time for you to check out Incogni. That's INCOGNI. Incogni only takes 3 minutes to set up, and it scrubs your personal info from the web. It tackles more than 180 data brokers and people search sites, so you can protect your data, your time, and your sanity. Plus, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. Get Incogni today and never look back. Use code CityCast for 55% off the annual plan at incogni.com. That's spelled out INCOGNI.com.
Well, I have another recommendation that's free and inside if you guys are ready to take a break from all of our outdoor adventures. We're going back on campus. One of my favorite places on the UW campus is downtown. It's the Chazen Art Museum. I literally cannot count how many times I have been to the Chazen, but it's just as magical every time I've been there. Fun fact, I do actually have like a Chazen tattoo. Me and
What?
Yeah, you can see it's like the logo, the circle,
cool.
square, and triangle.
Oh my God, I love
Yeah,
it.
I got this as like a little matching tattoo with one of my best friends who lives in Norway now. So shout out to Jenna. Because we love the Chazen, because we've had so many good experiences there, and it was just one of those places that like really impacted us in our college years. It was that place that I would go for like a respite and like a reset, and like if I just needed to like calm down and get away from the rest of the world or get inspired by something, right? The Chazen has something really for everyone. The museum first opened back in 1970 with a collection of like 1,600 paintings, and today there are over 24,000 works of art in the museum's collection, and it truly spans the entire spectrum of like art history and different cultures. They've got everything from Greek water jars dating back to 510 BCE and like classic Renaissance art. They have an Andy Warhol, Marilyn Monroe print. They've got some Roy Lichtenstein dots. They've also got new sculptures by contemporary artists. So like I said, truly something for everyone. It's one of my favorite places. Open 7 days a week these days, which is super awesome, and free all the time. Free all the time.
That's a fantastic pick. I'm so glad that you brought that forward, because they also have like outstanding events all the time. So people, if you are looking for free events, they do film screenings there. as well. I feel like it's a great date spot.
Yes.
They have really interesting like talks on a regular basis. Like people from the university will come and talk. It's a happening space, and they just did that like huge remodel, and they have a new and I was blown away. We talked to Marlon Hall on the podcast. He was an artist in residence at UW who's doing those mosaic dinners, and they had like kind of their final shabam with a live music and this incredible new theater space it was like one of the grooviest theater spaces I've ever seen. There's all this like bronze copper coloring in there.
I love it.
And it was huge, and I don't know, it was like very, very bona fide and proper and dignified and classy, and I'm like, Madison,
it's like,
come through.
This is a real museum with real things, and I mean, they're heavy hitters, right? And like I said, it's free every day, which is so cool. That it's like making all of this art and this programming accessible, highly accessible by biking, walking, or taking the bus. Parking, not super hot. There's city garages everywhere, but like that's the price we pay for going downtown. Of course, if you want to get a little spendy, they have a gift shop, and who doesn't love an art museum gift shop? And recently, as in within the past couple of years, they also opened the Chazen Cafe just outside the entrance of 750 University Ave, and that's operated by the Wisconsin Union, and they've got drinks and snacks and hot items, cold items, all that good stuff. So 10 out of 10, Chazen, my plots.
And while you're over at the Chazen looking for some parking, I want to bring up my next free thing, which is right across the street at Vilas Hall. It's the Cinematheque, baby.
Ooh, yes. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yes. So as a former film student at UW-Madison, I found out about the Cinematheque that way, but it is a totally amazing community free activity that UW-Madison's film department puts on regular screenings of the most like international films, lots of classic Hollywood, just really, fantastic storytelling. But what's special about the Cinematheque in specific, they've been doing this for like 25 years. They want you to see cinema the way it should be seen. And it sounds a little like, way it should be seen, but actually like on 35 millimeter, on 16 millimeter, or in their original digital format. So the way the filmmaker intended you to see it, you can see it at Vilas Hall in that way. They have seasons for the Cinematheque. Right now, this week, they'll be finishing up their summer season. So there are a few different film options you can go to see this week. And you can best believe they always have an incredible fall season. And I also like love their little pamphlet. Like they do like really chic, classy. And this is free though. So you get these like high class things for free.
I love that.
And yeah, I don't know. I mean, I could see some people thinking, oh, it's pretentious, that sort of thing. But it's just good quality, and it's accessible.
It could be pretentious, but like it's truly just special, right? Because how many places can you say like, yes, I've seen XYZ film on 35 millimeter or whatever? I will give a shout out to our friends over at tonemadison.com. They always do a really great roundup, like you said, Bianca, of the different seasons. So like if you're curious about what's coming out, they've usually got the lowdown on like what people will like.
Yes, indeed. Definitely check out Tone's coverage. In fact, that was my first writing job, was writing about films for Tone like a decade ago.
Full circle moment. I love it.
Full circle moment. And I should note, like this summer season, you might see this online, but they were honoring David Bordwell, who passed away this year. He's like a famous film scholar him and his wife, Kristen, wrote kind of like one of these classic film texts that everyone like in the country and the world uses to teach film. So they like just brought a lot of cachet, I guess, to the film program here. And when I say it's bona fide, like it is bona fide. Like you are really going to be, handled with care. Like someone has really thought and done careful curation on like what kinds of movies are coming. And they always change my life.
I just want to reiterate to everyone that we didn't know each other's before we started talking to one another. So I think it's super funny how
I figured hers out, though.
A lot of us have them in the same vein. So kind of going off of movies, like Bianca was just talking about, my second free thing that you can do in Madison is see a movie at the Terrace, which I got to do that once this summer, and I still look back at that night like being one of my favorite nights in Madison. I thought it was so fun. Such a cool experience to see a movie outside. My friends and I brought blankets. We sat up at the terrace chairs. We brought ourselves some snacks. Again, the movie's completely free, so the money that we spent on this event was all the different snacks that we brought, which my friends and I bought a lot of snacks, but that's totally up to you.
The snacks.
You gotta have the snacks. We got sweet, we got savory. My pick was Cheez-Its that night. I was really in the Cheez-It mood.
Classic.
Popcorn was there. There was some puppy chow. I mean, how can you go wrong? But they're on Monday nights from 9 to 11 p.m. There will be every Monday night now, so July 22nd all the way until September 2nd.
Nice.
There'll be a bunch of movies like new movies like Anyone But You. There will be Nope, Twilight, a bunch of classics that folks will be really into. So definitely check out the list on UW's the Memorial Terrace website, because they kind of have all the different movies listed out for you. They project it kind of on that stage. They put a big screen up for you folks. You have the lake behind it then. So definitely a really cool vibe. A lot of people come together. Everyone was like, I was also shocked at how quiet everyone stayed. Like everyone was really into the film and like had respect for one another and like was all there to do the same thing, which was enjoy the movie. I never felt like people were talking a lot around me. Like I still like got to like see the movie like it was supposed to be seen. So definitely recommend that. Free to see those movies. So definitely want to check that out.
Yes, it feels like an outdoor sleepover. Like people are there and having it's very respectful. And Jaws is coming up in a couple of weeks, which I saw, and also the movie Megan. I've been really afraid to watch that, but
Same.
I feel like watching it outside. I'm not gonna watch this doll. It's a scary movie, and it's like a doll that moves around real creepy.
I've seen it. It's not that scary. I mean, I love horror movies, so maybe I'm not the best litmus test. I've seen it. It's kind of goofy when you really sit and think about it. She does these weird dances, and then she gets a little violent. I won't spoil it for you, but It is what it is.
Well,
it's girlhood.
I'm really excited that we've got so many movie fans in here. But I know we've got to wrap up, but just really quickly it's not free, but it's cheap. And at Marcus Point Cinema, every Tuesday, they have Value Tuesdays. And so the price is $7 for non-members and $6 for members. It was $5 for a long time, but look, things got expensive. But $7 for an in-person, for, going to the theater. And yeah, I don't know. I think that's a good one to throw out there. I won't wax poetic about it because I have no emotional connection except for that I love going to the theaters in all forms.
I love that. That's nice. And we love saving money, right?
Saving money. Well, we hope that this conversation helped you navigate Madison and find some budget-friendly activities. Ava Wynowski, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And Haley Sperling.
Always a pleasure.
That's all for today here on CityCast Madison. I'm Bianca Martin. If you enjoyed the show, why not share this episode with your thriftiest friend? Because hey, they can listen to this episode for free. All right, we'll be back tomorrow morning with more stories from around the city. Until then, go save your money.